here in the Philippines, there's good in investing in real estate. The future looks good, and there is no better time to invest than today. A good place to start life. A good space to be safe and secure. A good location where everything is just minutes away. And here at SMDC, we'll show you all the good you deserve. So, you want to live the good life? We'll show you why you should invest with the good guys. SMDC's good guys are trailblazing the Philippine real estate market today with smartly designed and sustainable communities, offering you a selection of premium, well-appointed properties all over the country. Prime locations designed with modern lobbies. Well-planned, top-quality amenities for everyone to enjoy. Every detail you see is certified green and sustainable. A commercial retail environment is built on every development, making shopping malls and supermarkets accessible to families. Transport hubs are also situated near, so that moving around is made easier and safer. Living in one of our communities means you get to relish all these features. You also get to experience year-round family-friendly activities and events. For the business-minded future owner, we are offering a good deal. With our property management service, we can take care of hassle-free leasing for your units. Investing at SMDC means you have the chance to own the good life. You're not just investing for the future, you're also securing a place to settle down for good, making sure you and your family enjoy the good days ahead. The good guys will be there to welcome you. SMDC, home of the good guys.
Every corner makes it to the gram. Air Residences from SMDC.
2022 has been a transition period, including easing into the new normal way of living and the progressive opening of the Philippine economy. Different industries are recovering in their own way, and one of the noteworthy comebacks is the rapid resurgence of the country's real estate industry. The real estate sector truly is one of the most resilient among business industries during the pandemic. As things are getting more relaxed, the resiliency of the real estate industry will once again come into play when it comes to issues like high inflation and fluctuating interest rates. Apart from that, let's not forget the looming recession of the Western markets that has to be considered. Even with these challenges, real estate experts and property companies are still positive when it comes to investment opportunities that are available for Filipinos. In today's episode, we will talk about the possibility of looking at opportunities available in the real estate sector. I'm Isa Liton, and this is Kapihan sa MB. We are very fortunate to have with us as special guests some of the country's luminaries in the real estate industry. Beginning with Mr. Mari Banzon, President of the SM Development Corporation, or SMDC, the primary residential property business of SM Prime Holdings Inc., or SM Prime. one of the largest integrated property developers in Southeast Asia. Mr. Banzon earned 2 degrees from De La Salle University, a Bachelor of Arts degree in Economics, and a Bachelor of Science degree in Management of Financial Institutions. He has had extensive working experience in financial institutions, both locally and overseas. Let's say hello. A good day to you, sir.
Hi, Isa. Thank you for inviting me to this program.
Well, thank you very much for being here. And it's been a very busy time for SMDC. How have you been?
Okay, quite good. We've been very busy this year.
We're going to find out later when we have our one-to-one chat.
Okay.
And joining us, we have the co-founder and CEO of Leasable Property Consultants, a privately held real estate brokerage firm and the industry leader since 2016. Our esteemed guest is also the co-founder and shareholder of the W Group and has been instrumental in steering the Next Wave Cities initiative since its inception in 2009. He's also the top commercial real estate broker in the Philippines, in charge of the leases arrangement of more than 1 million square meters of office space and sold more than $2 billion in real estate. Everyone say hello to Mr. David Lichu. Hi, David.
Hello, Isa. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Jory.
Actually, you two have been old friends?
Oh yeah, quite a long time.
Yeah, we've been slugging things out in the market for, 15, 20 years.
Yeah. We've seen the property market ups and downs.
Ups and downs. And in 2022, how would you describe it? Up?
2022 surprisingly has been quite good in terms of sales. I was talking to David earlier that across the board, anyway from affordable to high-end, it's quite stable.
You agree?
Yeah, 2022 I would say would be the breath of fresh air for many people. Very refreshing year where things opened up. COVID is hopefully behind us, and there are more challenges but also opportunities ahead of us.
Well, there we go. We're going to dive deeper into discussion in a short while. For today's show, let's discuss how the real estate industry in the Philippines managed to stay afloat despite the lingering pandemic and other economic and business-related challenges, the role it will play in the country's economic restart, the sector's resiliency, and why now is the best time to invest in real estate property. All right, thank you very, very much for joining us, Mr. Banzon, or can I call you Jo Marie?
Jo Marie is fine.
Jo Marie it is. So to set things off, one-on-one with you, slowly, we really are transitioning to a more relaxed environment, right? People are not wearing masks anymore, and they really are venturing back out. So business are now slowly opening up. However, it's a fact that new challenges are present. We have high inflation, fluctuating interest rates, and throughout all these, we want to know, how has the real estate sector in general, and SMDC in particular, stayed resilient despite all this?
Well, you're right. Things are not the best these days. The economy, not only the Philippines, but the world economy has slowed down considerably. You have high inflation, high interest rates. It's being a challenge. Eventually, it's going to find its way in the Philippines. Surprisingly, though, I think the developers have been registering still strong sales this year. Not anywhere from the affordable to the high end. The sales have still been quite stable. Now, I attribute that to the fact that maybe the slowdown hasn't reached the Philippines yet, because we have certain particular features here that differentiate us from many other countries. It hasn't reached us because, of course, we have the strong overseas remittances, which I think, I understand it grew another 3% year on year for up to September. And of course, we have the young market, and of course, the BPO still growing. Now, so sales continue to be strong, but I think the biggest driver for that is the fact that there's a shortfall of about 6 to 8 million units of housing. So there'll always be a strong demand for that.
Okay, so the demand is there for the real estate sector in general.
That's right. That's right.
But now, how has SMDC stayed ahead?
Well, of course, it's still a competitive market, so we need to make sure that the products that we're offering is what the buyers are looking for. Like, for example, for SMDC, our market is affordable. Clearly, the world economy has slowed down. Some of our buyers, especially in the affordable market, their income has been impaired. Maybe some of them lost their jobs or have been downgraded their source of income. So that we needed to respond to that. And what we did was that we offered a product that is condominiums, which we call it, for the lack of a better name, MRB3. That is actually low-rise condominiums, but at an affordable price of about 3 million pesos.
Ooh,
yeah. So
okay.
that imagine, so you're just paying about 7,000 to 9,000 pesos a month. Yeah.
To be able to own and live in.
That's right, and it has all the amenities. Like it's still the luxurious condominium living, but it's affordable. So we need to match that to the income of our target market. So you need to be responsive. You need to be quick to be able to respond to that.
But Mr. Jo Marie, wasn't that always your price point? Or did you really go and meet this market because it was a difficult situation?
We had, well, that's our latest product offering, specifically in response to the slowdown. But then we had products that go as high as 7 to 10 million pesos already. So that we needed, that's there, that has its own market. But then if we want to be faithful to our affordable market, yeah, we needed to come up with a product that would match their cash flow.
Nice.
So you need to be responsive. You need to be very agile to keep your sales steady.
Well, that's one of the reasons why you did stay at the forefront. But besides that, you've been very, very busy. You had so many programs, activities, plans were implemented during these difficult times. You want to take us through these? Like,
Well,
how many new projects did you launch?
Oh,
Ang
easily.
dami.
This year we launched about 10 projects.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and what differentiates these projects from our standard one? Because we are very heavy in Metro Manila. Fortunately, we have plenty of land bank outside as well. We diversified to the southern Philippines. We have also in the central Luzon. So we launched those projects. The one very big difference is that whereas our projects here in Metro Manila is heavily focused on the investor market.
Yeah.
You lease it out because in Metro Manila, everybody wants to. They come here during the day to work, so they rent and then they go home to the
Provinces.
Yeah, outside
Metro
where they
Manila.
live on the weekends. When we diversified outside of Metro Manila, this is the end user market. It's more stable. That's a very strong market because it's actually people's homes. So. At the same time, as you mentioned, we have a lot of activities. We try to keep, we don't like deliver the product to our buyers and just leave them. We have our property management company and we have a lot of our marketing people are very active in keeping our residents occupied. So we have weekend markets, we have other activities like bloodletting, yeah, so that we can
Exercise also, like in the lawns of your, actually.
Yes, wellness programs.
Yes.
So we need to keep our residents happy in where they live. So we have wellness, we have weekend market, we have recycling program, we have programs that actually assist the PWD and the old people. We actually get our employees and the young residents involved in providing, for example, getting their groceries and delivering it to their
Convenience.
Yeah, convenience. What's good about our projects is that we always have a significant commercial presence in all of our developments. So you don't even have to go out. We have a convenience store at the minimum. It could be a convenience store or even a supermarket. We have banks, we have restaurants and so on. You don't have to get out of the complex and everything's there.
There you go. That is why SMDC has been and will continue to be at the forefront. But now you mentioned this already. You wanted to involve the younger ones. And this is really moving forward. You cannot deny anymore that being one step ahead, SMDC is there, and you do want to capture the attention of the younger market. So what is SMDC doing at this time to capture the interest and trust of the younger market?
Okay, the younger market is very important to SMDC. 51% of our total sales in the last 5 years is actually to buyers aged below 40. So that's how important that market is to us. I mean,
They're earning that well, huh?
they're earning that well. You have the BPOs, you have OFWs, Yeah, there are actually a lot of entrepreneurs among them. So
that's
that we've been quite successful in capturing that market. Now, so we need to make sure that our, as I mentioned earlier, our projects fit their cash flow. Yeah, the payment terms and the price and the features, the amenities that we put in our projects is what the younger market
are looking
for. Like for example, of course, you have the standard for the wellness. You have the swimming pools. You have the gym. We even have basketball courts, and then we have large open spaces so that they can socialize. Very strong Wi-Fi. Yeah, that's what the first thing they look for.
That's true.
Yeah, and then when we market, of course, we have a very significant presence in the digital world.
Yes.
Yeah, so we
because that's where they run their businesses.
Exactly,
right?
and we invest in influencers. Yeah, and we have features on wellness, on investment, on the things that the young market actually look for.
Because they're the woke generation. Am I saying that right? They're the woke peeps.
Okay.
So moving forward, because all this again is very, very impressive. Difficult times, SMDC being ahead, busier than ever. What then is your outlook in the next maybe 5 years ahead? Considering we have a new government leadership in place and you have been doing so well. Will it slow down? Or is there a pressure to maintain this momentum? So outlook, not just for SMDC, but really the real estate sector.
Okay. Like I mentioned, the whole world will slow down, and that at some point it will have to find its way to the Philippines. The good thing is that we have certain characteristics here that differentiate us from many countries. Like we have a lot of OFWs overseas. Like I mentioned earlier, the remittances increased by 3%. In this slowdown, I have a 3% increase in worldwide remittances. That's quite an achievement. But that's not surprising because our countrymen working overseas are quite diversified, and they're in fields that are kind of recession-proof, like healthcare, for example. Yeah, so I mean, slow down or not, I mean, you need caregivers, and you need to go to the have yourself checked. So a lot of the money that's coming in from overseas has been keeping the Philippines buoyant. Now, of course, if you look at the real estate residential market, there are two kinds of buyers. You have the end user, the ones that will
live there.
Yeah, live there and raise their families there, and you have the investors. The end user market will continue to be strong, I think. Yeah, because as I mentioned, there's a very big shortfall of housing in the Philippines. The investor market will probably be a little soft. Yeah,
okay.
At some point you'd want to like sit back and see what's going to happen before you would invest further. But there will still be those who will be buying, especially if the developers price their product right and allow the investor to make a decent return. Yeah, I think it's important for the developers to be very sensitive to the what the investors are looking for. Like I mentioned, for the end user market, you provide the features and the pricing, the payment terms that they look for, but they will have to get their housing. For the investor market, you just have to make sure that be conscious of what their objective is, the return. So you have to make sure that the product you're offering is one that will allow them to be able to rent their projects
so
out.
That's really driving the point that when you invest in real estate property, it's not necessarily just to secure your future for your family, but it is a very viable additional source of income. Now, you're talking about the real estate sector in general. I want to zone in on SMDC property owners. Have they been buying to rent it out? Have they been buying to rent? I mean, have they been buying for investment purposes?
The good thing about SMDC is that we have apart from developing and selling you the unit, we also have an outfit that's called Good Stays that provide leasing services. Actually, it goes beyond leasing services. It's tenancy services. Like for example, about 60% of our sales is to overseas Filipinos and some foreigners, and many of them are absentee owners. And when they invest, they want to lease it out. They want to, of course, get a
sayang
decent
naman,
return.
it's just there.
Correct. So we have a unit called Good Stays that offer to fix it up for you, to design and to provide furniture. As you know, the SM Group has a lot of furniture companies that would allow us to furnish your unit for you. We can also look for tenants for you, either on a short period or long stay. And then we just you give us your power of attorney, and we will handle it for you. You don't have to be here. In other words, you just invest, you pay for the unit, and then we'll make sure that you get your regular payments, your returns. So that service is there called Good Stays.
Good Stays.
Now, it's also important that when you invest in a condominium unit, that the value doesn't only appreciate, is not only preserved but appreciates. Now, of course, it means that the building needs to be maintained. We have a property management company. All of the developments we have, right now we have about 50 developments, and all of them are managed by our own property management company called Green Mist, which makes sure that the value of the building is preserved. So you have, of course, the buildings are painted, the swimming pool is maintained, broken tiles are repaired, the landscape is maintained, to make sure that when you go to the lobby, it needs to be as new as it was when you first
turned it
came
over.
in. Yeah. So it's property management is very important, and we have that as well at the SMDC. So it's a whole package. Once you buy an SMDC unit, you're kind of married to us for life.
That's also a good thing, actually,
Yes.
forever.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are still, again, hesitant. But hearing you, Mr. Jo Marie, really just goes to show, parang lahat na pinag-isipan. You've thought of everything. So I just want to challenge you with one thing. What do you think is missing?
Right now, it seems that we've covered all bases, but you can be sure that once we see a gap, that we'll fill it immediately, because that's how SMDC is. We respond to the demand. We respond to what the market wants. We need them to be happy with the investment, not only in terms of long-term value, but in terms of return.
Well, that's why it's very reassuring to hear after this talk with Mr. Jo Marie Banzon that yes, when it comes to investing in real estate, it is still considered a secure and solid investment no matter what. Pandemic proof when it comes to securing the future of your family, or really even when it comes to seeking additional income. It covers all the bases. So what are you waiting for? Maybe this really is a time to take a look at the properties out there, SMDC properties as well, because there is a range from affordable to 7 to 10 M and even maybe more.
Yes.
But that's the point, right? It'll become the consumer's choice. So it'll be your choice which property you want to invest in. And then watch it grow and secure your future. Thank you very, very much, Mr. Jo Marie Banzon, for enlightening us about the real estate sector and providing us with a very quick, actually no, it was a very meaty discussion of SMDC's outlook for the future and what they're doing to keep busy, not just today, but in the next couple of years. Stay tuned as we continue our show's discussion with our next guest, Mr. David Lichu, co-founder and CEO of Lichu Property Consultants. Kapihan sa MB. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Kapihan sa MB, and this time we are with Mr. David Lichu, co-founder and CEO of Lichu Property Consultants. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you very much, Lisa.
Well, after a nice discussion with Mr. Jose Mari Banzon, hot seats on you. So, David, the past 2 years saw many companies recalibrate their working environment. Of course, now companies are more flexible, taking this hybrid setup where employees have been given the option to work on-site and also work from home. So many employees have expressed the desire to work from home. Isn't that so funny? So given, of course, perennial challenges, there's traffic, long travel time. Let's not deny the increase in gasoline and food prices as well. How has this work from home setup and preference impacted the real estate or property sector? Is there still a demand?
I think so not everyone likes work from home. Okay, so there are a number of CEOs, especially the local companies and the multinational companies that are present here, have been moving people back to the office.
They really say, come back to
Come
work.
back to the office.
Okay.
So all the conglomerates, all the companies like P&G and other multinationals that have frontline operations in the Philippines are moving back to the office. And not everyone who's at home likes being at home. Not everyone who's at home are able to meet productivity levels required to do their job. So there are a number of, there's a big chunk of the labor force that like to stay at home because they don't have to commute, they don't have to spend money on transport. Yes, they will take a pay cut in that process, but that works for them for now. But there's also a significant portion of the labor market that don't want to be at home all the time.
Yeah.
And now that the economy is opening up, the leaders in companies are able to distinguish between those who make the effort to go back to the office, collaborate with the people who are there in the office, because the one thing that you do miss in Zoom meetings, online meetings, is the engagement with leadership, engagement with peers, engagement with downlines.
In a face-to-face
In a face-to-face
Yeah.
setup where there are certain things that you just cannot do online.
Okay, but still though, with work from home setups, that still demands that there is a physical company office.
There will be a physical, I think companies will migrate back to the office. Employees will migrate back to the office. Now, there is a philosophy of some companies where they're adopting hub and spoke office models, meaning you have a big central office somewhere in BGC or Makati, and then you have 3 satellite offices in Cavite, 3 satellite offices in Laguna, where you allow employees to go to a structured, controlled environment to do what they need to do better there than at home. So that's one segment of the market. There's a small segment that has gone 100% work from home. They have totally given up their office space.
Yeah.
But that's a very small portion of the total number of tenants and square meters occupied. Then you've got, to my mind, the move from work from home to work near home.
That's true.
Yeah, so, and that will drive the need for more live, work, play concepts. So developments like what SMDC is doing, where you've got this massive retail center at the ground floor, so you don't have to cross the street. You've got this massive 50, 75, 100-meter pools that you don't normally find in condominiums. You've got walking paths, you've got gyms, and all these common areas. But then you've also got office buildings next door or below the living spaces. And then diversity in terms of location and integration with the mass transit systems. So we've got, what is it now, 2 train lines. There's a new one opening in Quezon City. And it's all about a fight to get dominance to the stations as much as you can.
Yeah, be near it. Because
Be
again,
near it.
convenience is key.
Yes, and that's something that we just appreciated in the last 5 years. Although this company, SMDC, has been doing a lot of property consolidations and acquisitions around the stations as close as they can. Next is that I think eventually 100% of the workforce will go back to the office.
Eventually.
Eventually. Some faster than others.
Okay, because again, there was a time that certain companies or brands would have 5 floors
Yeah.
to themselves, and they
Yeah.
gave those up. They did come back, but probably only retained 1 to 2 floors.
Well, that's a good point to make, Isa. But the reality from what we've seen in the last 30 months is that only 2% of companies gave up space. 2% of the total footprint of tenants. That's
Around the
14
Philippines or Metro Manila?
all over Philippines.
Okay.
Only 2%. But in terms of net growth, we are positive 8%. So from what the market was in 2019 to what it is today, the Philippine office market is net positive by about 8%. So that is one of the few markets in the world
Yeah.
that's actually ahead,
On the up?
on the up.
Yeah, wow.
Despite all the issues that's happened in the POGO sector, despite lockdowns, we have clients who continue to renew their leases all throughout 2020, 2021, 2022, even though they haven't used their office space for 3 years.
Wow.
And another thing to consider is that the BPO sector, which is one of the biggest contributors to this economy, which allowed this economy to dance gracefully through COVID, is that the BPO sector hired 150,000 people in 2020 and 2021. So,
They continued to hire.
and these are record numbers for the BPO sector. They created 150,000 new jobs in the Philippines in 2020, 2021 combined. The last time they did this was in 2012, 2013,
Okay.
and that's a reaction to the COVID crisis in the world. And looking ahead, many CEOs are saying, we don't see any upside in their revenue numbers. These are statements being done by many global CEOs. So if their position is they're not seeing any upside in the next 3 to 5 years in the revenue, they have to figure out how to cut costs. They have to figure out how to improve productivity. And that solution is partly provided by the Philippines. The Philippines is a major contributor to cost cutting and increased productivity in the same way that China did that for the world in the manufacturing sector. So in the services sector, the Philippines is a very big part of the solution to crisis management of companies. That's why every time it's a global crisis, more jobs are created in the Philippines. And that's why I get so excited every time there's a global crisis. Because there's more demand. There's more demand for real estate when that thing happens in the Philippines, which is why you see these numbers. And these numbers have been consistent in every big crisis in the world.
Don't waste don't waste the opportunity a crisis brings.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot to take in. But
Yeah.
Good job. Thank you very much for pointing that out. David, you've already also added in letting us know what the changing and evolving needs the property investors are looking at when, of course, getting a property, like prioritizing health, getting that office space and convenience, work near home, and all these other aspects. Now, you touched on something that Mr. Banzon or Jo Marie earlier also brought up. It's that the market or the investors are getting younger. Do you see that in your field as well?
Yes. So the next 10 years is all about transition of wealth.
Okay.
So number one, the grandparents who founded the wealth of many people are going to pass in the next 10 years.
That's such a morbid thing
Third,
to say.
it's reality. The
Okay.
third generation is ascending. They have come back from school. They
Armed
abroad,
with graduating,
and with
master's degrees.
fancy degrees,
Yeah.
whatever. Hopefully, they don't become too smart. Also, but there's going to be a transition of both wealth and power in many corporations, in many families. Next is that there's an incredible amount of wealth that's been generated in the last 20 years in the Philippines. If you look at the Forbes list of the richest in 1999 Philippines versus today, that list is very different. It has changed so much color, referring to, anyway. So, you're going to see transition in power, transition in resources, and yes, because of the new wealth, the new buyers are also younger. This is also an attempt for parents and grandparents to kick out their children from the house.
And that's why they're looking for property
That's
too.
why they're looking for property
Yeah.
too. And the needs, despite this whole culture of, I don't want to own anything culture. I don't want to own a car. I don't want to own an apartment.
Really?
Yeah,
Is that this generation?
Yeah, that's this generation. They don't want to have these obligations and responsibilities where I don't need a car, I can just grab. I don't need an apartment, I can just do an Airbnb or I can just keep renting. And I think it's just a part of the process of maturity to be able to transition from not owning anything to 10 years after realizing, wow, I should have done this, I should have done that. Basic habits that contribute to success.
Okay, wait, David, I want to jump in on this young market and young investors. It's also a fact that entrepreneurs have been, the numbers are rising, especially when it comes to young, tech-savvy entrepreneurs. And I'm sure that with good income and good businesses, they want to invest.
Yeah.
Do you see that as well?
Yes. Now, in the Philippines, there are less than 1 million owners of accounts in the stock market. Very few people invest in bonds. A lot of people recently went into Bitcoin and crypto and NFTs, and those guys have been wiped out. So, real estate is the only asset class where the general population is investing. In Hong Kong, everyone is investing in the stock market. As early as when they can speak, they're starting to invest in the stock market. And then the next thing they do is they invest in the real estate market. In the Philippines, 90+% of investment activity is in the property market. And it will continue to be that way because of the volatility of the markets in crypto, volatility of markets in the equities market, in the bond market. All those things will just drive more people to invest in real estate.
Okay, so again, that's the younger crowd, and again, looks like the habits or what's been happening when it comes to investing in real estate. And I like that you're saying more Filipinos are in the know now, because as compared to maybe even 5-6 years ago, everyone's still so hesitant.
Yeah, I think because the Philippines has gone through this long history of letdowns. The crisis in the 70s, in the 80s, in the late 90s.
But wait, that doesn't mean they get their return. They
Well,
get their return.
So we're recovering from all these issues today. For the longest time, people who are like age of our parents and grandparents, they were always very, very cautious. They were almost jaded. They don't trust anybody. They don't trust numbers. They don't trust stats.
They're more open to risk now?
They're more open to risk now.
Really?
Because frankly, risk today is still lower than it was 15, 20, 30 years ago. I mean, imagine interest rates were 30% at one time, 40% at one time. And today, yes, interest rates have increased significantly, But
Inflation pa.
that's moving from 5% for a home loan to 7, 8% for a home loan. At 8%, it's still relatively low, especially if you take into account the history of interest rates in the Philippines. Inflation, it went from 1%, 2%, now it's about 6.5%, somewhere there. And you compare that to some parts of Eastern Europe where it's at 20%.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So we were actually in a good part.
So yes, if you look at the numbers in isolation, they kind of look bad. But if you take it
Compare.
from the perspective of what's happening to the rest of the world,
Yeah.
in perspective of history, we are still much better off. The middle class today is significantly larger than it was 20, 30 years ago.
So gathering all this, that's a lot of numbers we're getting from David, right? So gathering all this information from David for this particular segment, when it comes to the economy bouncing back, particularly the real estate sector, David, after hearing from you, can I say that the real estate sector is actually going to be better than pre-pandemic levels?
You can say that, yes. Now, there are qualifications, obviously.
Like?
First is that we are 30 plus months now into this
Pandemic.
COVID crisis, global COVID crisis. And in those 30 plus months, the Philippine economy and property market has continued to perform gracefully. And I can, so what does that mean? Many sub-markets in the real estate sector have not crashed. Okay, unlike what's happening all over the world. Number two, you have a support system. So much so that, for example, in the condominium space and in the residential space, what used to appreciate 12% a year pre-COVID is now appreciating 8% a year. So the appreciation levels have come down, but they have not gone negative. They are just appreciating at a much slower pace.
Yeah.
In some markets, COVID crisis actually accelerated prices. The best example I could show you is Punta Fuego. Punta Fuego had a 300% run in 30 months.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's not just pricing, it's also volume. We have never seen the volume of transactions in that entire coastline. And it's not just Punta Fuego, it's Punta Fuego, Tali, and Kawayan, and all those villages there along the coastline of Batangas have never seen transaction values and volumes the way they have in the last 30 months. Okay? And despite the amount of transactions, prices continued to climb. Usually when you have all these transactions, that's the supply comes in and then it slows down price appreciation. That's not happened.
Will it happen?
Will it happen? I don't think so. It will keep climbing. Probably not to the same volumes because now that people are out again, now that people are traveling the world again, people are distracted from buying resort homes. Yeah? But the next generation below that will want to have a beach house, will want to have a Highlands, Baguio, Philippine winter escape property. And this coupled with work from home actually complemented what's happening during the COVID crisis where you worked from home but you worked in Batangas. You worked from home but you worked in Cebu or Boracay or Siargao.
But again, not anymore because we are bringing people back in the offices.
Well, yes, but then they've also appreciated their summer home better. And so instead of using that summer home 3 times a year, they're using it 12 times a year.
Okay. That's why real estate is now really time to invest because we all want this.
And yes, now what happens to the middle class through all this? Well, the middle class and the lower end has been hit the hardest. And that's why they're shifting back from owning property to renting property. And when you rent property, you develop a rental market that didn't exist before. And that's where you have buyers on the property side renting to the local market.
And SMDC is very strong in that one.
And SMDC is very strong in that one, especially when you consider that 50% of all property in the Philippines is funded one way or the other by an overseas Filipino. So you've got money flowing from overseas market, from the Filipino overseas market, straight into property, mostly in condominium spaces like this. And they do that because of the many benefits that we highlighted earlier, such as location, such as access, such as amenities. And if you look at, I'll give you one solid example. A 50-meter pool is only found in stadiums
Yes.
and the country club.
Yes.
Very inaccessible to the middle class. The middle class only got to access polo club when they have a rich friend that brings them in. Yeah? Now, a 50, 75, 100-meter pool is common because of the developments of SMDC. In fact, I don't think you'll find a lot of 50, 100-meter pools around the market outside of the SMDC portfolio.
That's something I'm going to check out myself.
Yeah.
But
And that's something unique to the middle class, because before that you had to go to stadiums, and the quality of those stadiums, the public stadiums, not
maintenance
very
is
nice.
not good.
Yeah. So, and then live, work, play concepts make it attractive for investors to go and invest in these types of properties.
So it's a better time. It will not go, let's actually not hope for things to go back to pre-pandemic levels, but really just see the opportunity in moving forward with what the pandemic has let happen. And with that, I think it's about time we come to a close because it's been such a very, very meaty topic. Thank you so much, David. We'll see you again in a bit with Mr. Jose Mari Banzon. Ladies and gentlemen, do not go away. We'll be right back. Kapihan sa MB.
Home of the good guys, SMDC. Home of the good life, SMDC. Home of the good guys, SMDC. Good place to love, good things just for you. Good times with friends and family too, where you can laugh together, enjoy and play. Start living the good life today. Home of the good guys, SMDC. Home of the good life, SMDC. Home of the good times, good guys, good life, SMDC.
Truly, only bright things ahead for the Philippines when it comes to the real estate sector. And we really are all optimistic about this as we look forward to more opportunities that will make owning your home an easier reality to achieve. Now, before we say goodbye, how about we hear some final messages from our very esteemed guests, beginning with David.
Thank you, Isa. So, the Philippines has performed very gracefully throughout this crisis. And I am quite optimistic about 2023 and beyond. And there's such a saying that you should never waste a good crisis. And this thing that the world is going through right now with all its problems, this global recession that the world is going through right now has just opened up opportunities for many buyers to pick up real estate. Appreciation of assets in the residential sector have been slower in some sectors during this COVID period, and buyers should take that as an opportunity. In the last 60 years, property prices have only gone up. Yes, there will be crises along the way, but over time, property owners will be rewarded.
There you go. Don't waste a good crisis. There you go. Thank you very, very much, David. How about Mr. Jo Marie?
I agree with David. Now's a good time to buy real estate, especially in this era of very high inflation. As everybody knows, property is your best hedge against inflation. So it's time to buy now. I agree that the Philippines will be more resilient, especially because of the fundamentals here, where you have very strong overseas workers remitting money to the Philippines. And as I mentioned, there's a very high housing backlog. So time to buy property. And when you buy, you better buy from good developers, SMDC, for example, that will make sure that your property is maintained, so that you don't only preserve the value of your investment, but then be set for appreciation, capital appreciation.
There you go. The time is now. Thank you very, very much again. That's Mr. Jose Mari Banzon, President of SM Development Corp or SMDC, and also Mr. David Lichu, co-founder and CEO of Lichu Property Consultants. Maraming salamat po, gentlemen, for joining us this morning. And thank you very much to you, our dear viewers, who stayed with us throughout the program. I'm Isa Liton, and this has been Kapihan sa MB. Good day, everyone. Stay safe.
Here in the Philippines, there's good in investing in real estate. The future looks good, and there is no better time to invest than today. A good place to start life. A good space to be safe and secure. A good location where everything is just minutes away. And here at SMDC, we'll show you all the good you deserve. So, you want to live the good life? We'll show you why you should invest with the good guys. SMDC's good guys are trailblazing the Philippine real estate market today with smartly designed and sustainable communities, offering you a selection of premium, well-appointed properties all over the country. Prime locations designed with modern lobbies, well-planned, top-quality amenities for everyone to enjoy. Every detail you see is certified green and sustainable. A commercial retail environment is built on every development, making shopping malls and supermarkets accessible to families. Transport hubs are also situated near, so that moving around is made easier and safer. Living in one of our communities means you get to relish all these features. You also get to experience year-round family-friendly activities and events. For the business-minded future owner, we are offering a good deal. With our property management service, we can take care of hassle-free leasing for your units. Investing at SMDC means you have the chance to own the good life. You're not just investing for the future, you're also securing a place to settle down for good, making sure you and your family enjoy the good days ahead.
Home of the good guys, SMDC. Home of the good lives, SMDC. Home of
The good guys will be there to welcome you. SMDC, home of the good guys.
Every corner makes it to the gram. Air Residences from SMDC.